Hello, this is my presentation for addressing encoding and decoding challenges in the classroom with a series of Tier 1 intervention strategies. To begin, what is encoding and decoding? Encoding is the process of transpiring speech into writing, and decoding is the process of putting written symbols into speech. So that's really reading and spelling in recognizing and producing sounds. What is phonics? A method of teaching a person or a child in our classroom the connection of a sound to letters, groups of letters, etc. So it's really that instruction of those sounds and those representations of sounds. How does this relate to literacy challenges? Reading requires the ability to process language by matching grapheme-phoneme pairs into individual parts of speech to pronounce words. So it's really important that we are building these skills in order to develop reading skills. Students who are unable to connect those sounds to the sound symbols are unable to break apart unknown words and spell out words accurately. Students who show difficulty with this often rely on sight word recognition to compensate these skills. So we really need a strong foundation of phonics and encoding and decoding in order to word attack words that we are not sure of, especially in developing readers. A lot of readers compensate, as I mentioned, with those sight words. However, if it's a word that they do not know by sight, they need to be able to know how to go about recognizing that word, which would involve breaking it apart using phonics. Students who lack in decoding skills may fall behind grade level expectations in reading, and this is due to their inability to read unknown words that require the student to sound them out. When we are doing our benchmark assessments or finding reading levels of students, we have to mark them off for those words that they are unable to recognize. So that will definitely have them fall below in terms of reading level. The reason why I chose this presentation on encoding and decoding was because I wanted to develop research further as far as a student of my current course. The student I chose has clear deficits in her reading ability and her ability to read words phonetically, and she also meets criteria for dyslexia. Though the student is classified and receives special education services with a more intensive program, if given a strong intervention in the early grades, the gap may have been much smaller. This is important to consider as it proves the importance of building a strong foundation of these skills early on. And I am a firm believer that if the student had received a comprehensive program during whole group instruction in K1, some of her learning deficits may have been reduced and she may be closer to grade level of her peers. What are we already doing in the classroom? So in our school, most of our phonics instruction currently takes place in kindergarten and first grade. Teachers use centers and teacher-created materials, but there is no comprehensive phonics curriculum in place for whole group instruction. Our reading is taught solely using the reading workshop model. Reading strategies are taught during the mini lessons. Word attack skills are taught in some units, such as kindergarten superpower unit, where students don't let themselves be defeated, using all your reading powers to take on even the hardest words. And in first grade, unit 5, tackles fluency, phonics, and comprehension. Though these are wonderful units, we need more than that. In grades K1, these are really our most critical years in developing powerful readers. So, though these are some aspects of the reading instruction, phonics and reading attack strategies really need to be part of their everyday curriculum. As you can see up top, I have my reading strategies that are taught in first grade, but they've also been around for a while. These are teacher created, most of them. So this is just one aspect of mini lesson that our first grade teacher pulls upon, and they really need more than that for their reading strategies, especially phonics. The other program that we have adopted is that Words Their Way. The current uses this as the spelling program, and students are taught a spelling pattern and then are to memorize a list each week with that phonetic pattern. So they are introduced a little bit to some phonics skills, as they are given, per se, a list with EA and EE, and they're to sort those words and memorize those words for their spelling test. However, this is not done in a systematic way. There is no evolvement of skills. It's really just, here's your list for this week, learn where they go in their columns, and then you have an assessment on Friday. So though this is giving them some instruction, it really needs to be more comprehensive. And again, more systematic in building upon foundational skills. This begins in the second half of the first grade year. Prior to that, in first grade, they just use a sight word list created by the teacher. So now I'm going to go into my Tier 1 strategies that I believe would be really beneficial for all students, especially for those students who may be on the cusp of, difficulties in learning and challenges in the classroom. The first strategy is to incorporate encoding and decoding strategies together in order to enhance both reading and spelling skills. Teach reading and spelling simultaneously. So, according to a study done by Weiser B. in 2013, the best fit models for investigating ending performance using encoding or decoding instruction included the following variables: students' initial encoding or decoding ability, core classroom and supplemental encoding and decoding instructional time, and the number of integrated encoding and decoding lessons that the student received. So according to her research, she found that teaching simultaneous encoding and decoding skills proved better reading ability and better instruction. So as you can see just from this example of this photograph, this is from a Fundations, which is the younger version of the Wilson Reading Program, often used for students with dyslexia. And you can see her holding a D card, and the students are then to repeat D says duh. So we'll go into that later, because not only is the student recognizing the letter, but they're also recognizing the sound. So they can then transpire that into their spelling of that same sound. So again, simultaneous learning, encoding, decoding. There's no reason to teach these in two different separate avenues, as they really go hand in hand. The second strategy of the Tier 1 intervention could be to use manipulatives. Give students opportunity to learn phoneme graphemes in a multisensory way in order to differentiate instruction to include auditory, visual, and tactile learning. So this goes back to our research that we have done on Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. We have multiple types of learners in our classroom. They are going to be perhaps stronger in visual learning, perhaps stronger in auditory learning. Again, you want to include as many strategies as possible to reach as many learners as possible. Some examples of this may include manipulation of letter tiles, use of sand trays, or writing letters in the sky. This will help develop more long-lasting memories. Research supports this in another study by Weiser B. and also P-Mates in 2011. There is a strong association between early instruction in the manipulation, writing, and encoding of phoneme grapheme correspondences and reading attainment. Using manipulatives in their study, such as tiles, counters, letters, and letter tiles, proved a significant importance in reading and spelling abilities, improvement in their spelling abilities. So, again, using those manipulatives is proven to help further phonics instruction. And the third Tier 1 strategy I have included is to be explicit and systematic in your instruction. And that means using simple, brief, and concise language to reduce language demands. Activating prior knowledge to enhance long-term memory accessibility. To provide frequent review and practice to solidify information. To include visual aids. So really it's just simplifying information, simplifying the process, and being repetitive in your demands. This is a sample lesson plan. Again, this can be manipulated in what program you're using. But to begin, you may want to spend 5 minutes every day with that alphabetic knowledge and phonemic awareness. Then 3 minutes moving into your reading deck, 3 minutes into your spelling deck, 5 minutes of multisensory introduction of letter concepts, and then you're spending time on accuracy and fluency, spelling, handwriting, and comprehension, and oral language practice and composition at the end. So you're following lesson plans. You're following the same type of model. The students become aware. The students have review, and they know what is coming. It is a systematic, no mess, no fuss type of instruction that they are going to build upon prior knowledge and move forward with new skills. So an example of that quick drill would be B, bat, B, TH, thumb. Quick drill in reverse is using those multisensory strategies, writing sounds in the sky, writing sounds in sand trees, etc. So really creating a consistent learning environment or learning style for these students. So in order to assess these skills, you have some general skills assessments of phonics, the Dibbles, the Woodcock-Johnson, some informal reading phonics inventories. If you have a program specific to your students, like the Foundation or the Sunday Reading System or Wilson, they have their own assessments that go along with the program. Otherwise, you can use more of a simple inventory, but it's really important to test in order to collect data and plan future instruction from there. So in conclusion, teaching whole group phonics instruction can build a strong foundation of encoding and decoding skills for all learners. Use of multisensory materials and strategies using an explicit systematic approach, and teaching encoding and decoding skills simultaneously are ways to enhance instruction and understanding and create meaningful memories of skills. According to Weiser 2012, she states the synergistic relationship between encoding and decoding instruction can be accurately modeled to minimize the number of early readers who may be prone to having reading and spelling disabilities. Therefore, using these strategies as a Tier 1 intervention is wise as to prevent students moving up tiers in the future. This is how we want to intervene early in order to present these difficulties and challenges in the future. Here are my resources, and again, thank you very much for listening, and in hopes, again, we can move forward in trying to reduce learning challenges in our classroom. Thanks.